Hey Wargamers, welcome back to the channel, Death from Above Wargaming. I'm Aaron, and I'm back with some more Battlytics. This time we're going to take a look at one of my favorites, the Argus. So this mech was released very recently this year in the second Star League Lance. That was a review that I believe Dan and I did, and I absolutely love the new design for the Argus. It's a mech that's near and dear to my heart. Comes out of the MechWarrior 4 era video game, so really, really cool. Now, this Argus traditionally is equipped with like a Rack 5, an LRM-10, some other things. I opted to take a look at a different variant, the AGS-5D. This thing's pretty cool. It's still a Davian mech through and through, although in later eras, House Kurita does take, I guess, control of one of the factories, but it is available to them in master unit lists. So if you want to troll your Fed Sons buddies, you could paint this thing red. But let's talk about the mech, shall we? So Argus is a 60-ton mech. It was originally designed, fun fact, as an Omni mech, but that was scrapped. So the 5D battle value of 2065. That is approaching clan levels of ridiculous. It's an Intersphere Heavy. This particular one was produced in 3071. It's very fast. It's a 5.8, and it also has mask, so it can basically engage that and get up to a running speed of 10 movement points. Very, very good. Has 11 double heat sinks, and it's got like all kinds of crazy tech on it. XL fusion engine, XL gyro, endo steel, light ferrofibrous, and of course my favorite, maximum armor. So it's got 12 tons, 201 pips. That thing is covered front to back. So very, very good there. So that is definitely something you pay for. It explains just out of the gate why the battle value is so high. But let's look at the weapon. So this one has a pretty neat loadout. I like it a lot better than the default one, but we'll see how it fares by the numbers. But here's what it's got. It's got twin SRM-6s, actually streak SRM-6s, in the left arm, heavy PPC on the other arm, and two medium lasers, one in each torso there. So it's got a ton of SRM. Actually, it's 2 tons of streak SRM ammo. It's got the mask like we talked about. It's also got a targeting computer. Very fun. And it does have a C3 slave, which is cool in this era because there are a lot of C3 units available. So I think this, paired with some other Davian mechs. I think there's a Battle Master that has a C3 Master in it. Might be very cool, especially with if this thing can use the mask to get in close. It would really help the Lance out. But anyway, let's see how it does. Again, by the numbers, guys. We're going to crunch this thing through the heartbreaker that is Battlytics. So stay tuned. Analysis on the Argus 5D is coming right up. All right, and we are back here with the offensive benchmark. So let's take a look here in the top left. So what we've got is we've got an area chart showing the baseline damage that this thing can produce at various range brackets over 12 turns. The blue line is the optimized damage. The red is the what we call the red line damage, which is basically where you smash all the buttons, but don't shut down the mech. So it'll build up basically right up to 29 points of heat. Then it'll fire as much as it can without going over and shutting the mech down. So how does it look? Well, the first thing I immediately see is this thing is definitely capable of building up heat. Once you get in to medium laser and streak range, it can build up 8 points of heat per trigger pull, and that's with 22 heat sinks trying to dissipate everything. So that's a significant amount, but that's a good thing because we can squeeze it for a little bit more damage. So basically our baseline output is 181.3. It's phenomenal. That's like Succession Wars era Atlas level damage, just for a point of reference. Optimized, it gets up to 200.5, and then the red line is 135. So again, if you're firing this thing aggressively, you're going to lose efficiency on this mech. It's not for the faint of heart. However, I think it's a very, very capable mech in the right hands. Now, bottom left hand, we've got this cumulative benchmark. A couple things I want to talk about. So this thing over the 12-turn simulation put out, again, 200.5 points of damage. An awesome 8Q, right? Basic Succession Wars era awesome. Does about 152. A Timberwolf does 278. So one mech that I thought was a very good comparable look was the Rifleman 7N2. So we looked at this not too long ago. This is actually what I call like a hidden gem. I didn't know this mech even existed, but I love it. It's got twin LBX 10s, 2 light PPCs. It's a very solid design. That thing put down 217 points of damage, and it was significantly lower battle value, although it didn't have the TMM and it didn't have the armor that this thing has. And when I say TMM, I'm really talking about the target modifier that it can achieve at running speed, which is going to be significantly higher than a Rifleman. Now, especially with the mask, by the way. So, 60-ton to 60-tonner, similar era. I'm not overly impressed because, again, the Rifleman can lay down more, but I think the battle value is baked into the defensive side. Before we get there, though, let's talk about lethality. So, in the simulation against the target dummy, the Javelin, it was able to kill the Javelin 96.7% of the time. Out of, again, 10,000 sims, 12 turns. By turn 12, it was dead 96.7% of the time. The average time to kill is 9.25. So when we extrapolate that out, get to 100%, the average time, 9.25. That's a little lower than average, so that's a good thing. What I thought was cool, a couple of things here. Damage per hit, 5. Again, it's got a ton of those shotgun effect with the streak, the basically 12 streak missiles coming in, but it does have a big chunk of damage with that heavy PPC. So you can see it had about 10% head kills, 77% just ripping this thing to shreds, 9% engine kills. Now, this target dummy does not have an XL engine, so that means basically you are killing it via center torso criticals, and that speaks to that critical hit number of 4.63, which is significantly higher than average. And again, that's because it's got that shotgun effect. So this mech has sort of the capability of both opening holes in a target with that heavy PPC and then crit finding with twin streak SRM6s. So that's pretty cool. And I think the streaks are really neat because they really help to manage the heat when you want to just keep on that PPC, but also have options at your fingertips. If you don't hit with them, you don't build up the heat. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, overall, not disappointed with the offensive side. I think we've got some options. I think it does pretty respectable damage for the timeline, the era, I should say. And let's see what the defensive side looks like. So first thing, again, maximum armor everywhere. Front, rear, the distribution's perfect. This is like if you were going to build a mech yourself from scratch, this is what any sane person would do. It's very, very good. There is ammunition, as we mentioned, in that left torso. It comprises 22% of the criticals, so even if you do get into that side torso, that's packed out pretty heavily. There's the mask in there. There's 3 engine criticals, something else in the ammo as well. So the lasers in there and then ammo as well. So overall, I think you're not going to see a lot of deaths to ammo. You see that's reflected in the kill chart. By the way, the survivability, spoiler alert, 93.7%. That's crazy high. That's outperforming almost everything in its peer class. But let's talk about mobility first. So this thing can claim a +4. Very, very good, because again, it can move 10. You'll notice this mobility analysis looks a little different than some of the others. Instead of being sort of like a step drop off, this thing has sort of that castle look, if you will, because it's engaging the mask every other turn. The simulation doesn't want to take the risk of having a hip freeze or anything along those lines, so it just plays it as conservatively as possible. You could be very, very aggressive with the mask, and you could probably bump the survivability up even more or use it when you're under fire, and so on and so forth. But the simulation, again, as this is just sort of looking for some baseline numbers, kind of turns it on and off every other turn. Now, your average target modifier over 12 turns in all of the simulations was a 3.48. That's really high. I mean, that's like locust levels of speed in this 60-ton package with crap tons of firepower. And for 2,000 battle value, it's not sounding so bad. 93.7%. Let's go back to that. So in our 2,000 battle value, like 2,000 to 2,100 battle value peer group, you'll see that sort of shadow area chart on the right-hand side there. And then there's like that little white reticle. The reticle represents its survivability, 93.7, and then the area represents everything else is in that peer group, which is closer to 83%. So it's actually outperforming by 10%, which is significant. How does it die? Most of the time is an engine death. Surprise, surprise. XL engines stink. It is what it is. I think in this case it's well worth it because the XL plus the mask is a winning combination to keep this thing on the table. Nothing bad to say. I was hopeful that the defense would be good. It didn't let me down. So let's take a look at efficiency and move on to what's next. All right, so survey says 6.75. I was hoping for higher, but the thing didn't really do enough damage for me to really expect big numbers. I was thinking it would be in the 6 to 7 range, but was hopeful for more. Still, I think it's very, very good. So if we look at the area chart there, the purple area chart, that represents the average of all mechs that we've analyzed. So it is, on the right-hand side of that bell curve. It's very, very good. 6.75 is a reliable, definitely would add this thing to my force. If you look at the shadow chart underneath of it, that is just the subsection of heavy mechs. That includes Intersphere and Clan. And you can see the average there is pushing a little bit higher, a little closer to maybe 6.25. So even then, it's still on the good side of the bell curve. So I feel pretty good about it overall. Again, would have loved this thing in the 8s or something along those lines, but it just doesn't have the damage output. Something to talk about when we get into rolls is where it's actually delivering the damage and how this simulation sort of works. I think maybe this thing in a more realistic setting, especially in a setting where it's more terrain dense or an urban setting, this thing will get you much better return on investment because you can use that speed to get those medium lasers and SRMs in range sooner. But let's talk about gunnery sensitivity. So gunnery sensitivity on this thing was fairly low. Most of the weapons, as we just said, shorter range. You've got the streaks, which if you don't lock, you don't waste them. So higher gunnery does a little bit for this mech, but not a ton. So how would I play this thing? Based on what I'm seeing, based on the BVs, the effective damage by gunnery, I would have to say I would probably play this thing, honestly, at a gunnery 3. I mean, that 2400 to almost 2900, 2500, I don't know. 400 is a lot of BV. I would say somewhere between 2 and 3, depending on what your force budget is and whether or not this is one of, a smaller mech and a bigger lance, or this is your this is your premier mech. If this is the thing you're relying on to kill things, it might be worth it to step up the gunnery 2. But that's my opinion on that. Let's talk about rolls. That's what I'm excited to get into. So let's jump into that. So again, just looking at that threat assessment chart, you can see the majority of the damage comes in at 9 inches, 9 hexes. That's when the lasers, that's when the streaks come in. If you were to alpha strike and everything hits, which, with the streaks isn't unreasonable, you could do 49 points of damage in one fell swoop. I mean, that's a significant amount. Again, the heavy PPC is essentially doing clan level damage, but much worse heat. And it hits out to 18 inches, which is pretty significant. It's, standard PPC range. With your mask, you should have no problem getting this thing in range. And, again, as long as you're smart on the heat, you shouldn't have any issues keeping this thing in the fight. Now, how would I play this mech? I have 3 roles here: Brawler, Defender, and Frontline. So we talked about terrain dense and urban environments where this thing can get real close. You can use your mask. You can get in rear arcs very unexpectedly, right? Especially if you're kind of walking at 5 and you're firing some guns and your opponent, it's not paying close attention, and you crank that mask up and you move 10, and get in the dude's rear arc. I mean, you can really mess some things up firing a heavy PPC into anything's rear center torso. It's devastating. So I think in that regard, it could be a very, very dangerous brawler. And also, don't forget, this thing has upper arm actuators only, if I'm not mistaken. I am correct. So you can arm flip with this thing as well. So you can do some shenanigans in a city fight. And with the kind of armor that it has and the low the high survivability, right? The low likelihood that you're going to get a crazy ammo crit or anything like that. I mean, it can happen, but again, probability is in your favor. I think this makes a really, really good urban brawler. Now, the other role I picked was defender. I think if you just kind of chill, use your heavy PPC, it's going to be hard to get this thing off an objective because it's tough. Again, you can move, you can get your TMM up. As soon as anything gets close, you can rush in, you get all your guns in range. It's pretty scary, even for, an assault mech. Taking a 50-point wallop to the face is nothing to scoff at. Frontline was the other option here. So if this is the, quote unquote big dog in a smaller lance, or if it's just in a heavy lance in like its peers, peer tonnages, like I'd put this thing out front. It's fast. It's going to get in. People are going to want to shoot at it. It's going to be hard to hit and annoying. And that's always hilarious when, you're running around with a 60-ton mech with this kind of firepower and you get to put, a +3, +4 on it as it runs in for your target mod. So those are the roles that I had in mind. Interested to hear what you guys think in terms of role. But I think I'm going to wrap this analysis up. Tell me what you think of the Argus overall. Do you love it? Do you hate it? I know it's like one of those goofy looking asymmetrical type design mechs. I really like it. It's just such a neat, it's just such a cool design. Very realistic for me, I guess. But curious to know what you guys think. And did you get the resculpt? Did you like it? Do you like that second Star League look? I thought it was very good, but interested to know what you guys think. That said, guys, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Okay, so a couple of things before we do. Number one, Ares Games and Minis. If you didn't get your second Star League Lance and you want to, head on over to Ares Games and Minis. Lots of stuff in stock over there. Books, dice, the minis, obviously. Terrain from all kinds of great partners that are out there. So just tremendous selection of BattleTech and also just sci-fi gaming stuff in general. So check out Ares Games and Minis. The second thing is, guys, help us out. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, but most importantly, share the video. Tell your friends about us. That's how we get the word out. I think a lot of you have been very helpful in not only spreading the name of DFA, but also just BattleTech in general. We get some great comments all the time about, hey, I just rediscovered BattleTech because of your channel. And that's thanks to you guys for spreading the word around and getting it out there. So thanks for that. Now, if you want to help out more, you can come on over to Patreon. Lots of different tiers, lots of different perks and options. That's really how you stay plugged into what we're doing on the channel. So if you want to help us out more, keep the lights on and the cameras rolling, you can head on over to Patreon. But that's it, guys. I'm done marketing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Again, let me know what you think about my baby, the Argus. You can't say anything nasty about it. I love that mech so much. I got so many kills in this thing in MechWarrior 4. How could it be bad? All right. Well, farewell for now. We got some more Battlytics on the way, more battle reports on the way, all kinds of great stuff. As you know, stay tuned. Always great stuff coming from Death from Above Wargaming. Guys, have a good night.